trying to be a good person who's good enough to get into heaven, because you never can be. Oi, oi, welcome to day 19 of lockdown. Today, are you good enough to get to heaven? If you've got a Bible, check out Matthew chapter 19 and all the way through at verse 16. Someone turns up to Jesus and he says to him, "What good thing do I have to do to inherit eternal life?" In other words, how do I get to heaven by being a good person? And 2,000 years later, countless people still make exactly the same mistake. They assume that by doing certain good things, they'll be a good enough person to get to heaven. How often have I heard people say to me, "Well, I hope I get to heaven because I've been quite a good person. Surely I've been good enough for God to let me in." People think that by being good enough you can get to heaven. To which Jesus replies to this guy and says, "Well, you know the commandments." Bearing in mind that Jesus takes them a step further. When he says do not murder, he says if you have anger in your heart towards someone, that's murder. When Jesus says do not commit adultery, he says if you've lusted at someone, you've committed adultery. He says to the guy, you need to do all of these things. And the guy is so proud that he says, yeah, I've done them all. 10 out of 10, that's me, Jesus, I've ticked the box. Unbelievable, really. But then Jesus says to him, well, I'll tell you what, if you want to be perfect, because you have to be perfect to be good enough to get to heaven, go and sell everything you've got. Give everything away to the poor, then come follow me. And the guy is rich. He's devastated. He walks away. We never hear from him again. We never hear in the Bible whether he did give his life to Jesus or he was just so consumed with his wealth. And Jesus then says, verse 23 to his disciples, "I tell you the truth, it is very hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, you may not think that includes you and me. We like to think someone who's very rich is someone who's filthy rich, like Richard Branson on his private island with his billions of pounds and still has the cheek to ask the government to give him billions of pounds of bailout. He is filthy rich, you think. I'm not rich. But actually, on a global scale, you are rich. If you earn more than $1 or £1 a day, you are rich. If you have a home to be in that is secure and safe during lockdown, with running water, with electricity, with enough food to eat, you are rich. This applies to you and me. To which the disciples then say to Jesus, well, that's flipping impossible. How can anyone ever get into heaven? Like, some of them came from middle-class families who own businesses. They realise this applies to them too, and they think, hang on, I'm discounted here. So Jesus says, verse 26, humanly speaking, it's impossible. It's impossible for anyone to get saved, humanly speaking. Because humanly speaking, you can never be good enough. That's the whole message of Christianity, of why Jesus came. The whole message of the Bible is you cannot be good enough. Stop trying to be a good person who's good enough to get into heaven, because you never can be. But Jesus continues, but with God, everything is possible. So today's message is stop trying to be a goody two-shoes to earn your way to heaven, because you will never be good enough. The only way to get there is because Jesus died to take all your mess, all your filth, all your shame, all that dirt on your life that you've done, that you've thought, that you've committed, that you've wished on others. Jesus took it all on himself so you could be forgiven, so you could be free. That's the only way possible for us to have a relationship with God in heaven. If you haven't made that decision today, stop fighting it. Today, open your heart and say, God, I'm going to stop trying to be a good enough person. I'm going to accept I can never be good enough. I'm going to accept you, Jesus. And if you have accepted Jesus, then let's share this message far and wide. Have a great day. I'm praying for you, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Cheers.